Welcome to the Metabolic Link, a podcast that explores the common thread of metabolism in health and disease. This is where science meets society. Welcome to the Metabolic Link. I'm your host, Dr. Dom D'Agostino, and we're honored to share a rare and vital perspective from Chad Vanags today. He's a former software as service or SaaS executive. He's turned entrepreneur and patient advocate, diagnosed with stage 4 lung cancer in July 2022 and given just 6 to 12 months to live. Chad embarked on an extraordinary journey to become metabolically, physically, and mentally elite. This presentation, recorded live at the Metabolic Health Summit in January 2024, highlights the invaluable role of the patient's perspective in advancing the field of metabolic health. Chad's unfiltered story reminds us that patient voices aren't just inspiring, they're critical in providing clinicians and researchers the real-world insights that challenge the medical status quo, that drive innovation, and that also influence transformative conversations. Chad's powerful journey of hope, resilience, and growth shows how integrating the patient perspective is vital for shaping the future of healthcare. I hope you enjoy this episode.
Our next speaker is Mr. Chad Vanags. Chad was building a career in SaaS as a CMO, then founder, and was training account executives for companies like Dropbox and Calendly. Then, in July 2022, Chad was diagnosed with stage 4 lung cancer and given 6 to 12 months to live. Since his diagnosis, he has been documenting his journey to become metabolically, physically, and mentally elite in order to heal from cancer and continue pursuing his vision. Chad is currently building companies aligned with his purpose, including Becoming Elite, Uncharted Spirits, and Tequila Farm. Welcome, Chad.
Can you guys do me a huge favor? For the love of God, please. Can we come in a little bit? I have 29 minutes. I will use 2 of them here. Come on, just come in a little bit closer, please. 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 Thank you. Thank you. So I still have the 20. So we only use 30 seconds. So thank you to all of you who moved. We only use 30 seconds of my 29 minutes. All right. So it is up on the screen. Great. Thank you. So why I don't trust you and how we fix it. That's going to be the title here. Why I don't trust you and how we fix it. So a few notes and disclaimers. First and foremost, I'm used to looking up here, but apparently it's here too. When you see that headline, why I don't trust you and how we fix it, did anybody sit here and say, man, that guy might be kind of a jerk? Did anybody? Anybody? Look, at the end of the day, a headline is 90% of your dollar, right? So if you're in a business and you're selling something, whatever it is, you're going to spend 90 cents on just a headline. So my goal with that headline was to get people a little riled up and to be like, who's he? What's he talking about, right? When I say you, I'm talking about this entire experience. I used you, the word you, to make it personal. That's why I did that, all right? But at the end of the day, the you is this experience. And so the fixing part is not going to be you, it's not going to be them, it's not going to be me, it's going to be we. And that's kind of what I want to get to. I don't know the answer, I'm telling you up front, but this is why I'm talking to all of you, because you guys will know better than I. The thing is you need to know what before we do the how. So what is my experience? What is it like? What has it been like? What's it going to look like? And then how do we do something about it? Not just for me, but for everybody in my situation. So what you're going to hear is a little bit unfiltered. I have a cuss count probably happening in my head. Somebody else will probably track it as well. Take it with a grain of salt, right? If I'm saying this, just know that others are thinking it and not saying it and don't have this platform, okay? And of course, I know there's nuance. I understand that there's nuance. I get that, okay? I am non-scientific. I'm a sales scientist, though, right? I can build sales processes and systems, and I can get people to buy things. I can sell snow to an Eskimo. That's science in my world. But I am non-scientific, so if I butcher something, just keep that in mind. Last but not least, If I get emotional, I'm sorry. This is hard in general, but this week's been a little bit harder. So I have to bear with that. So last thing here is buckle up. We got to go fast, all right? Here we go. This is me. Real estate, startups, sales, marketing. I've been an individual contributor. I've been an executive. I've been a founder. I've been a consultant. I've been a trainer. These are the companies that I've either worked for or worked with. Anybody ever heard of Tipsy Elves? Ugly Christmas sweaters. You ever see that on Shark Tank? That was one of my clients, right? Blenders Eyewear. You've seen, what's his name? Deion Sanders, right? Wearing these Blenders Eyewears now. That was one of our clients. Klaviyo, big software company in the tech space. But this is what I really wanted. I wanted to be a big wave surfer. I wanted to work at National Geographic or Discovery, be the next Anthony Bourdain. And then this came along. Thank you. This came along. Normally I fly through this shit, and I'm really fast, and I'm really good at it, but right now I'm struggling, okay? So here's the deal. I got diagnosed. Here it is. Lung EGFR, stage 4. The lung was 5 times the average size. I have it in my lymph nodes, in my bones. And in my brain, I had 29, 30 lesions. Okay, here was the timeline. January 2022, I get COVID. March of 2022, I'm like, oh, this is long COVID. I still have a cough. I look it up. Yeah, coughs happen. Cool. All of a sudden, in April, I feel my lymph nodes. I'm like, that's different, right? I get a CT, an ultrasound, all sorts of stuff. But of course, because of the way the system's set up, by the time I actually get it scheduled, by the time I get a review, by the time I get the next one set up, right, we're already into July. Okay, so I feel the lymph nodes in April, but by the time I even get to a point where I can get a bronchoscopy, an MRI, and a PET, right, we're talking July of 2022. So August of 2022, August 8th to be specific, I go on to Tagrisso. Okay, September 2022, so 6 weeks after that, I get a brain MRI. Brain MRI shows that Tagrisso is working. My lesions went from basically 29 down to like 9. Cool, that's good to know. But I'm in the middle of YOLO, by the way. Everybody know what YOLO is? You only live once, and you just say, fuck it all. That's basically what's happening, right? December of 2022, I have scans. By the way, I had scans after my wife and I went to Israel and Jerusalem, or Jordan and Israel. And all I did, we went to LAX, and we put a map on the wall at LAX, threw a dart, bought the ticket that minute. Just went. It was cool. March 2023, I get scans. We're still stable. Things are slowly reducing, but they're now like paused. They're like just paused. April of 2023, I do this thing called Uncharted Spirits. It's a TV show concept my brother and I wanted to do. And I told him when I got diagnosed, I go, I just want to do one. If I get one in and I die, I'm cool with it. Fuck, I'm still alive. Ugh. May of 2023, I'm still alive. I'm like, well, shit, now what do I do? So I'm like, I'm going to run a half Ironman. I run a half Ironman. I do scans. You know, and it's just like the shit just builds. You can see the emotion and the mental and the emotional fatigue that is happening. Normally, I'm pretty good and I can push through it. Today's a little tough. I'm not going to lie. I'm even coping with some holistic things. I'm not supposed to say that here, I don't think. July of 2022. I start getting into this thing, what we're calling self-directed neuroplasticity. That might be something that everybody resonates here with. Basically what I'm doing is I'm working on my goddamn mind, okay? Because the mindset here is going to be everything for me and everything for pretty much everybody else. Without the mind, nothing goes. Because if the mind goes, everything goes the wrong way, okay? August of 2023, I have radiation on my T8. And then I was like, I need to get away from here. So my wife and I go to Puerto Escondido, Mexico for 5 weeks so I can surf a wave called Zicatela. I know, if anybody knows that wave, that thing is a monster. I didn't surf it at monster sizes, but it is heavy. I keep doing this self-directed neuroplasticity. I get scans in October. The lung tumor, after not moving for 3 straight scans, all of a sudden dropped by 50%. Why? Why? Yeah, I mean, thank you. How much is there a mind-body connection here? That's what I want to know. Okay? And I'll get to that more. This is just the timeline. This is just a timeline so you can see where I'm at. November 2023, I launched Uncharted Spirits with my brother. We released the TV show concept. It's fucking awesome. People love it. I want number 2. December 2023, I keep doing this stuff. Here we are. I had scans on Monday. And then MHS, obviously. So I wrote this on Wednesday of last week. Still the same. It's not in my lymph nodes as I was writing this. Wasn't in my bones as I was writing this. In my brain, there are 9, 5 stable, 4 growing. The asterisk there is because I wrote this 4 days before I got my scans. Things have changed, right? But we don't know what it is, and I'll get to that later.
Essential fatty acids are crucial for brain function, for hormone production, for immune response regulation, skin health, also proper cardiovascular health. C15 is the first essential fatty acid to be discovered in 90 years. Low C15 levels can wreak havoc on your metabolic health, and higher levels have been linked to the benefits of longevity. And we covered this in actually a previous podcast. What's interesting is that without even realizing it, most people are deficient or low in C15, which can significantly decrease our energy levels and our resilience. Fatty 15 is a science-backed, award-winning, pure C15 supplement. And if you're following a plant-based diet, if you're vegan, you are most likely deficient in C15. I personally found that my levels were in the normal range, maybe not optimal. I often, not surprisingly, have been communicating recently with people after our podcast that have told me that their C15 levels are low, and they've been able to test this and show a clear deficiency. And upon supplementation, they brought them back into normal range. So you can get an additional 15% off of a 90-day subscription starter kit to Fatty 15 by going to fatty15.com/metabolic link and using the code metabolic link at checkout.
Why don't I trust you? The experience. Well, let's start with the big one. The global cancer therapeutics market size is expected to be worth around $393 billion in the next 10 years. It's $164 billion right now. Who in their capitalistic mind would ever try to find a cure for cancer? Like, think about that. We have livelihoods. We have livelihoods that depend on cancer to make it go. That's my first thing. When I read these things, I say, why would anybody want to do that? You solve that problem, you lose a $164 billion business. Okay, now we're going to get into this. Then you got one side. I call it institutional and genetic. Okay, once again, I'm not the scientist here, so if I mislabel things, but I'm just going to tell you right now. Institutional, this is what I was told. Actually, first off, this is what my wife was told at the bronchoscopy. Just go be with him. Basically, as he lives out his last couple of days. And then I was told there's no cure. I understand, but look, I have to believe that there's a cure somehow, some way, someday. And then I was told I was the unlucky 15%. Outside of the fact that I'm having a hard time with my emotions right now, based on everything I'm doing, if you've paid attention to anything I do, I don't think you can see me as somebody who relies on luck. I do not rely on luck. Okay? There's no such thing in my mind as the unlucky 15%. And I could be wrong on this, but my understanding is that when people say this is genetic, they call it a genetic disease, but it's to me a metabolic disease. That's why I'm here, right? I asked my first oncologist, what can I do? What else can I do to speed this up, to heal? Nothing, just take your meds. That's literally the words that came out of her mouth, okay? She was great, she was fine. She signed my accelerated death benefit, and that's what she was there for. Okay? Therapy and the psychological support, non-existent. Just absolutely non-existent. Okay? And yet this is the place where I think the most opportunity is, especially as we cope with and continue to heal with. heal from. Here's the other one. Liver counts are up. My liver counts are up because I'm on Tagrisso. I'm taking the med. Makes sense, right? Problem is, they're up, and I'm like, well, what do we do? And she's like, well, we'll have to take you off of it for a couple weeks and then see what happens. And I said, well, don't take me off of it. It's the thing saving my life right now. That's the last thing I want to hear. And so I was like, hold on, don't take me off. Let me see if I can do something about this. And so what do? I alter the protocol. I take my meds. I go into a high-intensity workout. I chug a bunch of water. I get good sleep, and guess what? Boom, my counts are down. Consistently every time. Why am I the one to figure out the fucking protocol? Now, I'm then also responsible for scan interpretations. From a different radiologist every single time. Lymphangitic carcinomatosis, that was on my second ever scan. What did I do? I Googled. We all know what Google does, right? But now I'm sitting here interpreting scans, but it's a different person every single time. Right? And I understand that they need to release scans ahead of time or whatever. There's some rule, some law. Okay? But I'm sitting here interpreting scans. And that adds just psychological damage. Just damage. Okay? So, institutional genetic. Nutrition is never discussed. Not once. Right? Here. Oncologist one, hey, try and cut back on the alcohol. But just don't overanalyze things. Okay? Oncologist 2, I guess be mindful, but hey, keep the weight on. I literally had him I heard the words. I said, well, what about, I'm a sales scientist, remember? I plant seeds. I plant so I know when they answer that they're putting themselves in a trap. And I say, so well, what about sugar? And they're like, oh, well, look, hey, we just need you to keep the weight on. I think they're worried about cachexia, right? Keep the weight on. So like it's not a big deal. And I'm sitting here and like, this is so much bullshit. Like why do I operate in this world? And then basic blood work. I mean, basics of the basic, right? Nothing about vitamin D, ferritin, HSCRP, none of that shit. I'm learning this shit on my own, right? I have to go figure this out on my own. This is the problem. I don't want to know this stuff. I'm a sales and marketing scientist. I'm not geared for this, yet I'm the one having to figure this out. And it's horseshit. Here's the kicker. I had anemia-like symptoms last year. That's because I was going from keto to plant-based to whatever. I don't even know. And I can tell you right now that something was off to the point where like I'd step and I kicked a small little fence in my yard and I was like, something's up. Something's wrong. My hunch is it had to be a low protein of some kind because I was not getting enough protein. But the problem is when I went to the doctor, when I was in the institution, right, I said, what about all this stuff? They're like, nah, your blood counts are fine. Your blood counts are fine. You shouldn't have these problems. Then why do I have them? Okay, this is me just ranting, right? This is me ranting. And then the next part here, comms. By the way, it wasn't supposed to be a rant. It's not supposed to be negative. There's some good things. But this was a speech done on my experience. And if this is my experience, that's why I said at the beginning, it's going to be unfiltered. Take it with a grain of salt. If I'm saying it out loud, others are thinking it. Keep this in mind. Comms, lacking, and I've dropped enough F-bombs now, but the comms fucking lack. How about that? Comms are the worst. Oncologist 2, didn't even read my question to answer it. Neurologist, never responded. Radiation oncologist, never responded. So you tell me what you think. You don't need to read the whole thing. I'm going to paraphrase. At the top, I tell all my symptoms. Here are my symptoms. Here's the things that are happening. Remember, I'm a sales scientist. I know how to structure emails. I'm going through, so here are my thoughts. Thought 1, thought 2, thought 3, thought 4. Logical thinking. What are your thoughts at the bottom here? What are your thoughts? And should I do the brain MRI before I go, or is it still okay to wait until October as scheduled? Here's the answer. Your B12 and iron are not low, and these are not common side effects of Tagrisso or radiation. I want you to look at number 2. If it's from activity on the T8, we'll know after radiation this week. Let me go back. Your B12 and iron are not low. These are not common side effects of Tagrisso or radiation. I haven't had radiation yet. If you are continuing to have symptoms, we can certainly see you sooner, or you can make an appointment. Nowhere in there did they answer, yes, you should have a brain MRI, or no, you can wait until you're back. Remember the 2 simple questions. What are your thoughts? First, the thought was wrong. I don't have radiation yet. Second, and should I do the brain MRI before I go or stay? Not even a mention. Cool? Here's another one. I put it out there. Last question here. How do I go about scheduling the next appointment? I haven't heard back, and it's been 6 months. So why should I trust this part of the business? Do you see where I'm getting at? Give me a thumbs up or a hand raised. Do you see what I'm getting at? Thank you. This is extremely difficult. When your life is on the line, these are the last things you want to think about. But I have to do it every day. Thank God for my wife, the ultimate caretaker. All right, we got to move on because I'm looking at this timer. 13 minutes. I got shit to say.
Do you find yourself drinking too much coffee, depending on coffee to get you through the day? Coffee overstimulation and caffeine dependency is no joke. Coffee overconsumption can lead to anxiety, can even lead to increased likelihood of alcohol consumption later in the day. People are just jacked up on too many stimulants and are looking for things to take the edge off and to be energized, but with less stimulation. If it sounds like you, it's time to try mud water. This stuff gives you a smooth energy boost without the jitters, without the irritability that happens when you're overstimulated by caffeine and coffee. Mud water is more than just a coffee alternative. It's loaded with adaptogens, antioxidants, and it's super high in polyphenols. Every single ingredient in mud water product contains 100% USDA certified, non-GMO, gluten-free, vegan and kosher. So it's also 0 sugar. I like to add allulose and maybe a pinch of monk fruit to mine to sweeten it. I've got the bottle here, and it's got an impressive list of ingredients. The chai and cacao give a hint of caffeine, but not too much. I can take this at nighttime and drink it in the evening, and it has no effect on my sleep. I sleep a lot better when I replaced my afternoon coffee with mud water, and it's got lion's mane, it's got cordyceps. These are known to increase focus and give you sustained energy. It's got chaga and reishi, which have been known to support immune system function. Himalayan sea salt, it's got cinnamon. Are you ready to make the switch to a cleaner and calmer source of energy? Head to mudwater.com. That's spelled MUDWTR.com, and grab a starter kit today. Right now, our listeners will get an exclusive deal. This deal is 43% off your entire order. So that's also including free shipping and a free rechargeable frother when you use the code Metabolic Link. So the URL is mudwater, that's MUDWTR.com/metabolic link. That's right, 43% off when you use that code. After your purchase, they're going to ask you how you found them. Please show your support and let them know that we sent you. Thank you.
Now, non-institutional metabolic, and that's kind of where we're at here. I know that non-institutional is not the right word. Remember what I said? Nuance. Just deal with me, okay? I found hope here because I have some control. We know a guy in LA, his name's Dr. Gareth Monks. He ran into Dom. I don't know where Dom is. He's somewhere around here. He ran into Dom, introduced me to Dom. I've been working with Dom. We were emailing, we were chatting. I started to get this way, right? And I was like, okay, there's something here. And I believe cancer is metabolic or environmental and not genetic for me. Okay, I'm sure there's some things out there, but I believe it's metabolic and environmental in my particular case. But there are 2 camps here. Okay? Camp 1. And again, I could be way off on some things, but look, this is what I felt. High carb, plant-based, non-animal protein. All right? I guess that's what I'll do. Camp 2, high fat, keto, animal protein. Okay, I guess that's what I'll have to do. Here's what we can agree on. Green leafy vegetables. Yep. Wild caught fish. Yep. Fasting. Yep. No sugar, no processed food, no alcohol. Yep. That's a pretty good start. But here's how I went. I went keto. I felt great. You know, I've done it before, and then after the diagnosis, I did it again, and I was doing much better. Then I went to plant-based, and I started feeling a little shitty, okay? And then I was like, what is this vegan thing that Mark Hyman's talking about? I'll try that too. I don't care. But what about, like, grass-fed beef? What about dairy? What about eggs? We have 5 chickens at my house. They're free-ranging eggs. Probably the best eggs you're going to find. Can I eat those? Can I not eat those? What about quinoa? What about fruit? What about beans? Every bite is this feeding cancer or starving me? Or not me, starving it. I.e., is it killing me? That's what every day is like. You know, when you think about, I'll just keep going. And then I had one integrative that I worked with, late to the meeting, little to no value, talked at me for an hour. And I asked if I could ask questions, and there was no time for that because they were late for the next one. That's been my experience. Super fun. So here's a summary. I'm unlucky. There's nothing I can do. Good luck reading the scans. No psychological help. Terrible communication. Institution, no nutritional help. Non-institution, can't agree. And now I figured it out on my own. And that's the hardest thing to do for a sales scientist who wants nothing to do with cancer science, frankly. So I'm taking it in my own hands, and this is how I'm doing it. Becoming elite, metabolically, physically, and mentally. And I don't even know what metabolically elite really actually means. I understand the basics, right? I listened to Andy Galpin over here. That shit was awesome. I want to be a high-performance athlete. That's what I want. And his measurements and the things that I saw in there, I was like, that's cool. Okay? So I'm learning. Right? So I'm going to figure out my nutritional supplemental path. I started getting some of it down, right? I need help there. Whole foods, heavy vegetables, I'm already doing that. I'm in. Man, I eat broccoli like it's my job. I love broccoli. Wild caught fish regularly, right? Grass-fed beef, chicken, eggs. It's occasional. That's where I'm like, shit, should I? Can I? I don't know. Shake. That shake saved me. I was down to 155 pounds. I shouldn't be at 155 pounds. And that got me back up to about 170. It felt good. I have not felt this good since just doing that daily. So thank you. I locked eyes with her yesterday, and I started losing it. God damn it. I used to do monthly full blood work. I got a list from Dom. I used to do it, and that's why the asterisk is there, because I was like, what the fuck's the point? You know? I don't even know what the point is sometimes. I know it's important, but I'm doing it myself. It's on Excel spreadsheets. It's just a nightmare. Physically, what am I doing? I do ice bath. We have a sauna, but it's not hooked up yet. Oops. Cool. CrossFit, high intensity workouts, muscle building. I mean, you can tell, like, if you looked at me, you wouldn't know that I have cancer. People are like, what? It's because I'm so athletic and healthy. It's for that one little thing. I did a half Ironman, right? I call it a double Olympic try. Think about this for a second. And when I tell you I did a half Ironman, you're like, that's cool. That's like not a full Ironman. But if I go, it's a double Olympic try. I did a double Olympic try. You're like, you did Olympic try twice? You guys are supposed to laugh a little bit more after all the fucking tears. Training for a Leadville mountain bike. We didn't get in this year. We'll try again next year, but we're still going to be doing something like that. I'm training for Mavericks. Anybody know Mavericks? The wave, surf wave, off the coast of California. That's my guy. All right. Look, I'm far from it, but there's a big wave surfer by the name of Ben Wilkinson. He's going to help me get ready for it. I'm also going to need probably some of Andy's stuff, right, to help me figure that out. Mentally, okay? Mentally. This is 99.8% of the experience. I'm losing my shit today. This is probably the worst it's been since October or September. But this has been the most important thing for me, right? Self-directed neuroplasticity, psychoneuroimmunology. We all already heard those terms, I'm assuming, in this world, right? I.e., for the layperson here, my thoughts produce chemicals to make me feel the way I'm thinking. Does that sound about right? So as I go in and I do this neuroplasticity and seeing how these thoughts are making me feel, I'm trying to basically, as the one would say in neuroscience, prune and sprout new neural nets, right? I have a lot of nets to prune. And I'm sprouting new ones, and it's making all the difference, right? People call it meditation. I don't call it meditation. I call it mental work because I'm actually doing work. Right? I go from beta to alpha to theta so I can think about the thoughts that are actually undermining everything I'm doing, which is happening in the last 48 hours. That's why I'm feeling shitty. It's the biggest impact out of everything I've done so far, because if I can't get the mind right to make my body feel the mind the right way, I can't keep my shit together like it's happening right now. I have this asterisk here because there was a 30% reduction in the lung tumor in October. And literally I looked at the doctor and I said, what do you think that is? He goes, well, remember, I plant traps. What do you think that is? Well, I don't really know. So my lung tumor stayed at the same size for three scans, which is 9 months. Why would it all of a sudden do a 30% reduction in tumor? When I was in Mexico, I said, fuck it, and I had a couple beers pretty much once a week. So I wasn't metabolically elite, right? Those were not metabolically elite, Coronas. I spend 2.5 hours a day on this mental work, breaking those neural nets, right, that undermine the healing, creating new ones to help me cope and heal. And here are the examples. I'm disappointed in my career. This is my real career. So I pruned the neural net of I'm disappointed in my career, and I sprouted a new one that said this is my real career. Now the timer is going up. What do I have? 5, 4? You tell me. 8. Cool. I got time back. All right. Yes. Thank you. I don't want cancer to be my real career. I'm going to be honest with you, right? In fact, I decided I started documenting this on Instagram, and all of a sudden, the shit blew up. It was weird. And I literally said the other day, I was like, I'm done talking about it. I only talk about it in these environments, but I'm done talking about cancer and the ups and downs of that shit publicly, right? I'm going to talk about adversity because everybody deals with adversity. And so this is my real career on figuring out how we use our mind in order to basically, the self-directed neuroplasticity. I'm super fascinated by that because I believe with super self-directed neuroplasticity, I can actually change my life. And I believe I can teach that to people if it works for me. It's working, but I need to see a little bit more. The medication is running out. Well, look, my body's the medication. Does anybody here believe that the body has the actual medication? Okay, thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. If I said this to my institutional doctor, he would think I was nuts. So thank you for that. The statistics are not good. I am my own outlier. And by the way, if you'll notice, again, words matter. Words matter. I didn't write, I am an outlier. I am my own outlier because every outlier is different. Maggie Jones, some of you know her, right? I used to be like, I'm going to be like Maggie. I had an acquaintance who died of my shit like 4 months ago, and it just brought me to my knees. And I had to say, I'm not Maggie, I'm not that person, I'm not this person, I'm my own outlier. And the word change matters in your mind. I've wasted my one chance at life. I was born for this shit. I don't want to be, but I was. And that allows me to get through every day knowing that this is going to potentially cut short my life from the things I want to do. The scans give me permission to live. I'm the fucking permission. God damn. I must rely on the doctors. I'm the effing doctor, man. In this self-directed neuroplasticity, it was the craziest shit. I went down into that, I got into that lower state, that theta state, and all of a sudden I started messing around with some words, and I remember I was in there, and I sat there, and all of a sudden, like, all my doctors popped up. And I know all my doctors very well. Face, name, everything. We just call them by last name. Don't even say doctor, we just call it by the last name. And I got in there, and I was in the space, and all of a sudden, their faces were, like, blurred. And I was like, what the hell? I can recognize who that is, but I can't. And then all of a sudden, I couldn't say the names. I was like, I just literally, like, messaged with you 2 days ago, and I couldn't see any of the names. And it wasn't until I said, I'm the fucking doctor, in that moment, did everything shift for me. Just everything. And that's why I'm fascinated by neuroplasticity, because of the way we train these neural nets changes everything about how I feel every single day. Because this is the most important one. It's really hard to think about cancer killing you, but it's a very different ballgame when you see it saving you. Everything changes. I remember coming back from the Ironman on the plane, just sitting there and seeing that cancer is killing me. And in that deep place, I was like, no, man, let's see how it saved you. I didn't believe it at first, but I kept repeating it because that's what sprouting is, right? Repeat, 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 heavy in learning. And boom, I was like, oh shit, now I go through my day not saying cancer is killing me, but cancer has saved me. And it's a very different, look at outside of my emotional breakdown right now, like I'm up here functioning fully. When I know 7 months ago, I wouldn't have been able to do this. So how do we fix it? What's the common ground? Please, for the love of God, dissolve the camps. Please. For the love of God. Not for me, for my wife, because she can't handle me talking about it anymore. Complete blood work tracking database, and then I used an acronym for my sales world mutual action plan. Like, I just need a database. I was making my own database, tracking as much as I could, like, and I'm like looking trends and all that shit, and it just got overwhelming, and I was like, you quit. When it's overwhelming, you quit. Why can't I just get a software? I'm in the software space. Why can't there just be a software where I can just, done. And why isn't it common knowledge, right? No more try this, it's do this, then adjust. Because every time I hear try, it's just like, oh, here we go again. Dr. Monks, the first guy that we met that introduced me to Dom, literally sat me down and he goes, do this, and then we adjust. Your vitamin D's below 100, never again. Never again. That's exactly how he did it. And ever since then, I look at him and I'm like, man, that dude told me, do this, and then we adjust. That's what people need. That's what we need. More time in self-directed neuroplasticity and psychoneuroimmunology. This is the only thing that's made me functional. Okay? I struggle, obviously, right? But this is the shit that's actually changed it for me and given me any hope. How come we don't have enough or don't have more of that? Not just like, here's your therapy session, sit in your thoughts. That's not about that. It's about pruning and sprouting, neuroplasticity. Okay? You help me, I will help you because we'll help others. I have found, like I said, I was born for this apparently in my head, right? That I did this Instagram thing and now it's going and it's like, shit, how do I translate this to the world? Right? I don't know what you know. I don't know what you know. But I can tell you right now, I execute. So if you give me a plan, and it's a plan that we try, I execute it, I document it, and people will say, maybe that'll work for me. And it's before we ever get to cancer. You see what I'm saying? Like I said, give me the tools, I will execute, I will document, I will get your message out. I have learned in the past that I am a very good bridge from very smart people to us lay people. I can make complex things and make them simple because I'm simple and I can then relay it simply to everybody who needs to know. I love Dom. I love listening to his podcast, but there are moments where I'm like, fuck that. Right? The majority of the world is that way if you want to change things. Okay? Look, we can save lives together. I will do my best. So let's go fix it. That's it. What do you need from me?
Lawman is putting an end to my running and I'm so far.
Thanks for listening to this episode of the Metabolic Link. If you like this episode, please be sure to give us a review, share it, and drop us a comment. If you want more content like this, including access to our private podcast feed that offers exclusive ad-free episodes that also provide continuing medical education credits for physicians and clinicians, please visit our medical education platform. That's at membership.metabolicinitiative.com. Thank you for tuning in.
Do you love learning about metabolic health? So do we. It's why we created the Metabolic Initiative, an online educational platform providing evidence-based education on metabolic health and therapies for healthcare professionals and the general public. By joining the Metabolic Initiative, you'll gain access to hundreds of expert lectures, interviews, panel discussions, and even private episodes of the Metabolic Link. CMEs are available. Go to metabolicinitiative.com to get started. And as always, thank you for listening to the Metabolic Link.